Welcome to Fertilish, the podcast where we get real about fertility, infertility, and everything in between. I'm Laura.
And I'm Brandis. And whether you're knee-deep in treatments, just starting to ask questions, or somewhere in the ish of it all, you're in the right place.
Here we ditch the stigma, break down the science, and have candid conversations about the messy, emotional, and sometimes hilarious journey to growing a family and preserving your fertility.
So grab your coffee, your meds, or just your curiosity, and let's get into it.
Okay, Brandis, today we are back for episode 16, and I'm super excited to talk about all things traveling for treatment. We have so many patients that travel to us from so many different places to receive treatment at CNY, and so I'm excited to just kind of break down the pros, the cons, and all the in between. Why you may want to travel for treatment, and then just some tips and hacks that I've learned for doing so. About 60 to 70% of our patients travel to us from outside of the area in which we have clinics, and so I think that there's something to it, and a reason why so many people are traveling to us.
Yeah, and most of our patients are travel patients. I know here in Colorado Springs, whenever we get patients for an embryo transfer or egg retrieval, when I ask them, where are you from? It's almost rare that I get a patient that's like, I'm from here, because we do have so many patients that travel in to see us. And I think that's a really cool part of CNY. And I know you deal with this on intro calls on a pretty daily basis. Right?
Yeah, we that's probably one of the most commonly asked questions is, hey, I live in Mobile, Alabama. Is this something that's feasible for me to receive treatment through you guys? How does that work? What does that look like? When would I need to travel to you guys? How long would I need to be there? Where would I go? Or I live in California. I know you guys have a clinic opening here. Can I just go there? What does that look like? Because we do have 14 clinics now.
Yeah, that's wild.
I know. But all of those clinics don't do the same things. So, so some procedures you may need to go to a different clinic than the closest clinic to your home. Because there's certain procedures that we only do in some of our clinics. And the main reason why is because, we have an embryology lab at our full service clinics. And so when you have an embryology lab, that's where you can do retrievals and transfers. And so that's kind of that's the requirement. There's not a lab, at every one of our clinics. And then in order to be able to do IUIs, we need an andrology lab, which we do have more andrology labs at some of our satellite clinics, or satellite locations. So that's, sometimes something that we can do at a satellite clinic that when we're still not able to do, IVF or so a retrieval or a transfer there. And so, so just kind of understanding what type of clinic that you need to go to for what procedures, and so you kind of you're able to plan out your trip a little bit better.
Yeah. So some of our, like you said, some of our clinics are just monitoring sites, but even if you don't live close enough to one of our monitoring sites, you can do what we call outside monitoring, which is where, and I always tell people this on consults, if you go to our website and I think it's travel or traveling for treatment, and you scroll all the way down, there's a map, and you can put in kind of where you're from, the state, and it'll give you a list of places that do ultrasound and blood work, those that just do blood work, those that just do ultrasound, and you can kind of see what's around you. If there's nothing around you, you can always ask, a local fertility clinic, your OBGYN, if they're comfortable doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I always recommend starting with your own OBGYN, because that's someone that you're already comfortable with, you're already established as a patient. They're probably in network with your insurance, so they can see if they, they already have your insurance information. That's something that they can see if is going to be covered. Even if you don't have fertility benefits, sometimes monitoring will still be covered by your insurance. So I just feel like that's a good starting place. Even if your own OBGYN is not on our map, that doesn't mean that they can't do monitoring for patients that are already established with them. So we have lots of OBGYNs all across the country that will monitor for their own patients. They just don't have the bandwidth to take on all of these outside patients coming in kind of at the spur of the moment, because, you don't know until pretty close before you need to have the appointment done that you need to come in for a monitoring appointment. So, so sometimes they just don't have the staff to be able to support those patients that are not already established with them. But that doesn't mean that they can't support their own patients. And so we also partner with LabCorp and Quest, nationally, and they're always able to, accommodate patients for blood work. Now, there are some locations that maybe because they're more remote that they're not able to do stat blood work. If you encounter that's kind of your scenario, kind of let our team know. Sometimes they're able to get the results back to us by the next morning, and that's sufficient. But sometimes, if it's going to be a few days before we get the results back, we may need to help, kind of find an alternative for you. But the majority of the time, I would say that they're able to do stat blood work. Usually local hospitals, their labs are able to take an outside order and able to do blood work for you. So it just kind of depends on your specific scenario, but there's lots of different options out there. But I'm so glad you mentioned the monitoring map, because that is such a useful tool. If let's say you don't have an OBGYN that you are able to go to, it's too far away from you, or you've recently moved and haven't established care yet, or, whatever the case may be. We do have monitoring partners all over the U.S. That are able to, to accommodate outside patients, whether that be a radiology clinic, an OBGYN, a lab. We even have there's some infusion services on there for some of our patients that need infusions that are able to accommodate patients. So that is a really good tool to be able to find an outside monitoring partner. And we really try to vet those to where they're transparent about their pricing like we are.
Yeah.
And that they're cost effective as we are too. So you'll notice that some of them have this designation called verified affordable, where they fall within a certain price range for especially their ultrasounds, and that aligns with our pricing if you were to get the procedure done at our clinic.
That's awesome. See, I'm going to learn a lot on this podcast. It's going to be better for me for the consults. And I think you bring up a good point about, asking your OB, or honestly getting established with an OB if you're going to come here anyway, because we discharge you once you're 8 weeks pregnant. And so, you should have an OB that you're going to go to. So you make a great point. Honestly, establishing with an OB, if you don't have one, is a good start. Yeah, absolutely. And, a lot of OBGYNs are familiar with the things that we would need to be, them to be doing, because it's simply a transvaginal ultrasound where they're counting your follicles, they're measuring your follicles, and then they're measuring your endometrial lining thickness. And then it's some blood work. So it's, these are things that they do on an everyday basis, within their own clinic anyway. So they're essentially, they don't have to... when you go in for these appointments, if you're going to your own OBGYN, most of the time you're not going to see the OBGYN. You're seeing, your sonographer, and probably a medical assistant or a nurse who's drawing your blood. And so they don't have to read the results or interpret the results. They just fulfill the order, and then they send the results back to us, and then we interpret those results, and then we will contact you and say hey, continue meds as is, or increase the dosage of this medication, or, decrease the dosage of this medication, or we'll want to add this medication now. So it just gives us a good, it gives us information of where you stand as of that day to be able to help determine what the next steps are. Yeah, so like Laura said, we do have what's called a global travel team, a global travel nursing team, and the place you're monitoring at will send us or fax us or however they're getting the results to us, your blood work and the ultrasound results. And that team's job is basically, to look at it and either adjust medications if needed. They'll run it by a provider, and then they upload the instructions to the portal, or they call.
So they'll upload the instructions to the portal. There are times that they will try to reach out via telephone as well. But now I think now they're like calling less because we have our portal set up now to where when new instructions or new messages uploaded to the portal, you get a text message.
Okay.
And in my last cycle, I was like, oh, what is this? I love this. Literally, like when the Norfolk team would upload literally instantaneously, I would be standing there at the computer with her and I would immediately get a text message. So that was really nice that it like notified me that I have a new message in the portal immediately.
Yeah.
So that way I could go in. I was there already, so I knew what the new instructions were going to be. But if you weren't there, that allows you just kind of a notification to say, hey, like, my new instructions are in there, so continue meds as is, or add a new medication, whatever it may be.
And because you have that team, so those that do in-house monitoring, like if you monitor in Colorado Springs, your messages will go to the Colorado Springs nursing team, but if you're a travel patient, your messages will go to the global travel nursing team. And so you don't lack in support because you still have a nursing team you can reach out to in the portal. And we do have, our 24/7 nurse line in case of emergencies, but you do still have that support through your portal from actual nurses and the global team.
Absolutely. And I have patients that ask me sometimes like, what happens if it's not quite an emergency, but it's like the middle of the night, I forgot how to mix my trigger injection, or I forgot how to give that to myself, or something like that happens, or it's 8:00 at night and I know I'm supposed to take my first night of stims and like I forgot all the things that they said. And in the portal, there's also like super awesome videos. You can also find them on YouTube also. So there's a lot of great tools in the portal that are very helpful.
Yeah, and we try and help with these things. We do webinars, we do podcasts, we do Instagram. TikTok has good informational videos, YouTube. We have videos on our website. And so those are like such good tools that you can use. I always tell people, though, because I've had this before where people will message me, like, emergency questions on my Instagram, and sometimes I don't always see them, or they go into my requests, and so don't message me for emergencies on Instagram. I probably won't see it. I barely see things anyway. I'm the worst, but call the nursing team if you need to. You can call there. You can look things up. But you bring up a good point. There's so many helpful things, and I don't think a lot of people realize that all that is on our website.
Yes, there is so much amazing information on the website. Like, I love our website so much. There's like articles about every topic that you could ever want to read. Like, you could literally just do nothing but read our website for 2 weeks straight and you would not run out of material to cover. So anything fertility related that you want to find or read or anything, like, it's probably there. And it is so helpful. The search bar, if you're not sure like where to find something, the search bar, you can just like enter a keyword and it'll pull up every article or every page that could possibly be pertaining to that information. And you can just click on it and go right to, the source there. So there's so much information there that is super helpful. Obviously you can always reach out to us, but if it's 10:00 at night and you're like, I want to know about egg quality supplements or whatever. It's there for you for sure.
And I think the other part to travel that is scary to some people, I know it would stress me out, is that you kind of get quick notice for things. So like a retrieval, you really don't know for sure until 2 days before, really. Embryo transfer, you typically know about a week in advance. I know I see a lot of patients asking about, how do you book plane tickets? How does that work? What do you recommend? Do you have tips for that?
I highly recommend, if you are flying, I highly recommend that you buy your ticket in advance and make it adjustable. So like you can change the dates and times. It's a very small fee extra to be able to like change the date and time of your flight, and it's like super easy to do. So like let's say if you are flying Delta, like I would download the Delta app, and then make sure you're using your like Sky Miles rewards or whatever so you can get points or miles. And then like in the app, like let's say, you know, if you've bought it for a Thursday, but you end up needing like your retrievals, you know, like going to be on Saturday, so you don't actually need to fly in until Friday, then it's like super easy in the app. This American has one, United has one, like whatever you're flying. It's super easy in the app to just like click adjust your ticket, and then it'll show you flights to that same airport. It'll show you all the flight, you know, days and times that are kind of surrounding that. So it's a very small fee. Like, I mean, usually it's like $50 to $75 extra for that type of ticket.
That's cool.
Then that allows you to like go ahead. You're paying less on the front end because you're not buying it super short notice. So it probably evens out to be around the same price, maybe even a little less expensive. But that way you've got the ticket. You're not stressing right there at the end trying to buy a ticket. All you have to do is just like change the date if you know.
See, and that's cool. I didn't know that. And you know, I'm going to circle back to something you said about if your retrieval is Saturday, you're there on Friday.
Yes.
And this is such an important thing. And we've run into this issue, I feel like more recently. I always tell patients to be on the safe side, honestly, come in the day before, leave the day after your procedure. And it's not because getting on a plane is not going to ruin your embryo transfer. But, you know, if we're running behind, so if your transfer is at 11:30 and for some reason we're behind and your transfer happens at 12:30, but you have a flight to catch at 1 because you thought you'd be done at 11:45, like you're going to miss your flight.
Yeah.
And so either, you know, that's why we tell people, or if you're uncomfortable after an egg retrieval, oftentimes we will bring you back in the next day so we can kind of check on you. We can do an ultrasound. If any fluid needs drained off, we can do that. And so leaving the day after is useful. And then coming in the day before, flights get delayed, they get canceled. And then this is such a timed thing. We've had patients come in, their flight got delayed, and now they're outside of their implantation window. Or they've triggered and they've already ovulated and we get nothing because they chose to move forward still. And that's devastating because you've paid so much money for meds, so much time, and now it's kind of ruined.
As someone who's been through 3 egg retrievals, I highly recommend like traveling the day before your egg retrieval or transfer. Yeah. So, like, especially for an egg retrieval, getting there the day before, getting checked into your hotel or your Airbnb or whatever you're saying, you're not going to be able to eat the next day for several hours because there's no food, you know, from midnight on until after your egg retrieval's over. So, being able to, like, chill, relax, woosah, whatever. Eating some, you know, research ahead of time. I like to eat, so I'm gonna be looking at the restaurants and finding what I want to eat that night. Yeah. That's right. You can go and have your dinner, and then like you can shower with all the unscented things that you've brought with you or whatever it is, you know.
Yes.
And not feel like that you have airplane smells on you or food smells or whatever from the restaurant. And it just like gives you time to like kind of like get some clarity, rest, relax. And then the next day, all you have to do is worry about like, okay, remember not to drink any water, eat anything. And then just like, you know, travel over to the clinic, wherever it is that, you know, you're having your egg retrieval or your transfer. And you can, you know, just have a little bit more clarity, peace of mind, and not be so stressed. And then for egg retrieval, I definitely recommend like staying that night for sure, because like you will have some uncomfortableness. Like you have a lot of extra fluid. You know, you feel kind of bloated. You probably are going to feel a little crampy. And I just feel like, sometimes you may be a little groggy afterwards because you've been under anesthesia. I just feel like a good, like, hey, just like need to, now I'm hungry. I need to eat because I haven't eaten today. Just like eat whatever it is that, you're treating yourself with, kind of lounging, watching some TV, just relaxing, resting. You've done a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
And just like kind of relax, and then you can, just travel on home the next day. And in that same spirit, something that I found, if I am flying, or even, if you're driving, like we always recommend heating pads, but like if you're traveling, the ones that you microwave, you might not have a microwave accessible to you. This last egg retrieval, actually finally just like got one off Amazon that's about this wide. It was just like a rectangle that I could plug in. So I was able to just like plug it in on the plane and just like have it on my tummy for my egg retrieval. And I don't know, it just like, it was very comforting to me. So
interesting. Okay.
like $15. So
yeah.
So that was something that I like did differently this time. Obviously making sure that you're like taking comfy clothes with you. I like to fly in comfy clothes or travel in comfy clothes anyways. But yeah, because you're going to be a little bloated or whatever, like, definitely recommend like taking some comfy clothes with you, or if there's a blanket that you really like.
After retrieval, you're not going to want to put on like tight jeans.
No.
I don't want to do that anyway. So
right.
like anytime I'm like, ooh, airplane, I'm going to go to Aloe and get a new like sweatsuit. But yeah, so after retrieval, we like help dress you sometimes because you're kind of out of it from retrieval. Getting on tight pants, even super tight leggings, like bring sweats and a hoodie, like
absolutely.
Be comfy, sweats and a t-shirt. And then the showering thing, since people bring up a lot, you can shower. And deodorant, you can wear deodorant. People ask about that a lot. And you can wear that. And then makeup, that's become a thing too recently about, I was told I can't have makeup. And everyone has a full face of makeup. You can have makeup on. So I don't know where that came from. But
I guess maybe it's just like, I guess some makeups have fragrance and they were like concerned that like the fragrance or whatever. Like I think the main thing is like, don't put any perfume on. Don't put any scented lotion on. Like don't put any, body spray or like my first egg retrieval. Well, actually I think my second too, like I got this like Tom's unscented deodorant and I was like, oh God, like this stuff doesn't work. And
I feel like I don't smell regularly funny. At all, like even without deodorant.
Right.
But there was like, I think it was a native that I tried from Target because I was like, oh,
it made you smell funny?
Yeah, I'm like, I have BO and I'm not even hot. Like, I don't even smell when I'm hot without deodorant, so why does this make me smell?
I know. I was like, oh, like this is not for me. Like I'm good. So I was like,
you can wear regular deodorant. yeah, and that's fine. That's not gonna hurt anything.
Oh, I had like went and bought like unscented shampoo and conditioner and all of that, and then my first nurse was like, "Oh, you didn't have to do all that." I had bought Castile soap that was unscented, like just overboard.
Yeah.
And then she was like, "Oh, Laura, you didn't have to do all that." But I was like, "Well, we're here now, so."
Yeah, I know you drive yourself crazy with all the stuff that
you don't know. I mean, and so you're just like, I want to take I've like worked so hard to get to this point. Like, I want to take every measure that I like feel like that I might need to. You're also like eating pineapple core and drinking pomegranate juice every, whatever, like all the things. Because you're just like, whatever's going to give me the best chances for success.
Oh, and you'll find out so quickly that everything's bad for you. Like, everything. So I'm like, you know what? Actually, forget it. And in that case, so flying, a lot of people bring up traveling with medications, traveling with needles. How you've done that before, traveled with medications and all of your supplies.
Yes. So I highly recommend, even if you don't think that there's going to be medications that you need, things could change. Bring all of your meds. Like just bring all of your meds with you. Because you never know, like, as you travel, because, you're traveling up the day before. You never know when, at a moment's notice, when something, like, it would be much better for you to be prepared and not need that medication and just be able to take it back on home with you than to, like, be scrambling to now get a medication that you had at home and you wish you had with you.
And
so,
then
like,
having to pay for it again.
Yes. So bring all of your medications. This is one thing that I always recommend, and I know I've talked about, like, not subscribing to, like, all the fertility related, like, purchasing things that they have out there, whatever. And it's, like, not even a certain brand, but, like, on Amazon, they have this little toolbox thing. That's what I've had that since my first, like, first egg retrieval. I had the little pink one. It's cute. I think it might have cost me $20. Like, it wasn't expensive. But it's got, like, a clear top, and then the rest of it's pink or whatever. It's got several different storage compartments. And so, like, that was helpful to put meds in, syringes, whatever, that I didn't, that I didn't need to have refrigerated. But I also there's this cylinder, and they come in, like, every color. And it has this ice pack that's freezable that goes in one side that's kind of like moon shaped. And then you put your med, and it's like, you can put vials of meds. You might find it under, like, diabetic or insulin supplies or whatever. I think they're like $20 also. They work so well. It will keep your meds cold for multiple days. You don't need to add any extra ice packs or anything to it. So even if you don't have a hotel that has, like, a freezer or refrigerator in it, like, it will work for several days. And then, so I highly recommend getting one of those, because it helps, like, to keep your meds cold for meds that do need to be refrigerated.
And actually, I don't know how that, because the liquid's is 3.4 ounces or less. Does that apply to ice?
Yeah, it's TSA safe, like this.
Oh, okay.
And they're like $20 on Amazon. It'll say in there that's TSA safe. They've never questioned me about my meds whatsoever, flying, or my syringes or anything like that. I would say that, like, just to be on the safe side, like, to take, like, the box of the medication that has, like, your name on it or whatever, for your prescription. But I've never, like, I've had them in my purse, I've had them on my carry-on, like, they've never said anything to me about it. And I know as of 2025, some kind of rules change with TSA that there's not limitations on medication and some baby products.
Interesting.
That's, like, a new thing I heard recently. So, but yeah, I've never gotten any, like, flack or anything from TSA about traveling with meds. So, which is actually amazing, because, like, you think that somebody, if they wanted to, could do something with the syringe.
I know. I'm, like, sitting here and, like, wow, so people could bring any medication and syringes. I am not flying anymore. I already hate planes. So that's nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think you'll have any issue with that. But some people want, like, a letter from us, just to, like, make them feel better about flying, and we can always, like, provide that for you as well. That just states that, like, you're traveling with medications for a procedure. But I've never needed one. I've never been asked for one. But if that's something that you feel more comfortable about, like, we, our, like, nursing team, global travel team can get you one. That's no problem. We also have partners with, like, Airbnb and, like, some area hotels to get special rates for your stay. And some of the places where we have full service clinics. The only caveat with that is that, like, if you are normally booking through, like, Marriott or something, like through the Marriott app or the Hilton app or whatever, you just have to call them instead of, like, booking through your app or online, and let them know that you're a CNY Fertility patient, and then they'll give you, like, the special discount. But those are also on, like, the traveling for treatment section of the website, where we have, like, our, like, partner hotels, that you can get special rates for being our patient.
Okay, so yeah, I feel like a lot of this, has even been, like, not new stuff, but, like, helpful tips that patients have asked. I'm like, I don't know, I've never, I feel like I don't have this conversation a ton with patients, other than, like, how to find a remote monitoring clinic. Or they'll ask, well, how am I supposed to book flights? And I'm like, oh, like, I book flights months in advance. I don't know. Like, that's stressful, though. But so, like, having this knowledge that, oh, you can buy a ticket that's, like, you can just change is cool to know.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And, even if something were to happen and, like, God forbid your cycle need to be canceled and you needed to, like, change it to the next month or 2 months out, like, those, you can always do that as well and get flight credits. So, like, with, most major airlines, like any of the airlines that allow you to change your flights, you can do that. So, I wouldn't be concerned about that at all. Yeah, staying comfy during traveling, highly recommend, hoodies, sweatshirts, sweatpants, comfortable shoes, heating pad. There's like a particular blanket that like is comforting to you that makes you feel good, like bring that, if you get a pillow, a neck pillow, whatever it is, definitely bring those things. This is a hard journey, so like there are little things like that like make you feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
I recommend doing those. Making sure that you're staying hydrated when you're traveling, obviously, except for the morning of your egg retrieval.
Yeah. Yeah. Knowing that you may get altitude sickness in Colorado.
Right.
That a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I have seen several patients that were like, woo,
yeah.
I went hiking like the day before my egg retrieval in Colorado, and I was not expecting the altitude to get
we
to
have
me.
People get here and they're like, I have OHSS, I feel so sick, and it's like, no, this is altitude sickness.
Yeah.
We actually have had, I think it was a patient that was like, I have to ship my embryos somewhere else because I'm sick.
Yeah.
And so it's rare that it's that bad, but altitude sickness is a thing here.
Yeah, for sure. Taking those different things into account, if there is, particular provider, you get to choose the clinic that you're going to. So if there's a particular provider, for example, like sometimes I will have patients that say, like, I really prefer to have a female provider for XYZ reason. And so, obviously we can never, like, we try our best to accommodate the provider that you're wanting to be with. But, like, because schedules change and our providers, can't work 6 days a week, every week. And sometimes, they, like, need a break too.
Yeah.
We, like, the Colorado office, like, has, majority female providers. So that's what I tell patients, that's something that you may want to consider if you want to, kind of increase the odds of you having a female provider. Colorado may be a consideration for you.
Yeah.
Or when you're traveling, like, wherever you live at, seeing who has the easiest, like, direct flights from, like, your major airport, maybe something that you want to look into ahead of time as well, to kind of see, like, which, it may be a further away clinic, but it might be easier to navigate to that clinic than, like, the closer clinic, just because of, like, where your local airport has direct flights to.
Yeah. Or you live in Colorado, but you have family in Syracuse, and it's like, oh, we can make this fun and go on trips and stay with them, and then we're not having to pay for, hotel. We can hang out with them, and so, just because you live somewhere doesn't mean you have to go to that clinic. You can choose.
Yeah, absolutely. Or if you, are like, hey, I'm gonna try to, like, make a Florida vacation out of this. Like, I want to go to the beach while, like, whatever it is, like, that you, you get to choose. Now, saying that, there are times where we may need to pivot at the last minute. Let's say if you had planned on going to Albany for your retrieval, and that, we have booked so many patients on that particular retrieval day that it's no longer safe to add more embryos in our embryology lab. We want to make sure that your embryos are well taken care of. We want to make sure that you're well taken care of during your procedure, and that everything is done in a safe manner. So we may say, like, hey, we may need you to go over to the Syracuse clinic instead. We may need you to go to Buffalo instead. So there are times, that it's not the norm. but there are times where that happens. And so I just feel like that, like, it's better to acknowledge those things, that like it's a possibility that this could happen. Is it a great chance of that? No, but like there is a chance of that, so that way you're like mentally prepared, because I know I'm not a person that likes like last minute changes. And so if I'm better prepared for something, I can usually handle it a little bit better. So
yeah, and like I said, we're like you said, we can usually accommodate. If you want a specific provider, just ask the nurse or the MA, and usually they can grab one of us if we're available, and we can accommodate. We always will. And yeah, it's rare that we have to have last minute changes like that. It happens, but it is more on the rare side. I think we really do have a good travel team as far as like support. You do get a lot of the same care, and when you come into one of our clinics, it's not, there's no different treatment than in-house monitoring. I feel like people are sometimes worried about, if I didn't monitor in-house, am I going to be kind of like put on the back burner? Am I going to be second priority? And that's not the case. So
no, not at all. I've done outside monitoring actually before I ever even came to CNY. Like, my first clinic was in Dallas. We lived in Arkansas. At the time, there was one fertility clinic for the whole state of Arkansas, and there's two now, but we ended up going, with the clinic in Dallas, and I didn't want to drive back and forth like almost 6 hours, like for monitoring appointments. That's absurd. And so I chose to do my monitoring with like, a lab and a radiology clinic that was local, and they sent my results. So like, even though that wasn't their norm to do like outside monitoring, they still did it too. And fertility clinics do this all the time. And it's not just from fertility. Like, people go to specialists for different, like healthcare specialties all the time. And so, I like frequently say, like, when people are like, wait, why would you go that far? Well, people go to Mayo Clinic all the time to see different specialists. People go to MD Anderson to go to see cancer treatment. So this is like not an abnormal occurrence, and those specialists work with their local physicians, just like we will be working with your local OBGYN, to provide comprehensive care for the patient. And that's exactly what's happening, and it's no different.
Yeah. Well, and so many people will ask too, like, when choosing a clinic, which clinic has the better success rates, which clinic has the better trained people. And it's like important to know, at CNY, all of us are trained the same. So embryologists, they have the same protocols. They're trained the same.
And
nurses follow the same
like guidelines. The head embryologist of all of CNY travels to all the different locations, and she makes sure that like all the things are on the up and up at every single lab. And the same for like our clinical director, like, she oversees all the nursing staff, and she travels to all the different locations, makes sure that like we're all, on the same wavelength, that everything is like, is the CNY way. Yeah,
retrievals are typically all done the same way. Transfers are all done the same way. We use the same catheters. But I will, say you're always going to have different opinions when it comes to providers. They're always going to have different ways to do things, different ideas, different...
Or just like, someone you connect with more.
Yeah, that's like asking 3 chefs to say the best way to make chicken noodle soup. Like, they're going to have ideas, and none of them are wrong. It's just different ways. And absolutely. So, we're all trained the same. Procedures are done the same. You will get different opinions, but across the board, everyone at CNY is pretty standardized.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, and I think, like, sometimes you may like have seen a provider on a webinar, or seen a provider like, do a live video, or you may have had a friend that had an experience with a certain provider, and they had like, really great feedback, and they told you something about the provider that like really resonated with you, and so you have a particular fondness to that provider because of their experience.
Yeah, and so, they don't have to be at the location you're going to. Like, you could go to Colorado and really like, I don't know who's in Syracuse, Dr. Kiltz.
Yeah, Dr. Corley or Dr. Rowe,
You could talk to them and come to Colorado, or you could talk to me if you want a plan that I make, and then you can go to Sarasota, so it doesn't have to be where you go.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because that's something to mention that like all of our consultations are telehealth. So like even if you live a mile from one of our clinics, like your consultations are always telehealth. So you can do those from home, work wherever is like most comfortable, for you. And the provider that you have a consultation with has no bearing on the clinic that you go to for treatment. So I get that question a lot. As a matter of fact, I've gotten the question a lot this past week about the Nashville clinic opening.
Oh.
And they'll be like, hey, like, how do I book a consultation with the Nashville clinic? And I'm like, well, you just book a consultation with CNY. And so, like, you may have a consultation with someone that's in Sarasota, but, like, you don't have to go to Sarasota for treatment. You can go to Colorado Springs if you want to, like, wherever, So, wherever you have a consultation or the provider, like, wherever they're located at, has no bearing on, like, where you go for treatment.
Yeah, and I think we hit on a lot of the key points about traveling. Is there anything else that you think is a common question you've ran into or you want to add?
So I think that like just to kind of summarize, like, is it worth it? Is it worth it to travel for treatment? There's obviously going to be additional costs for traveling, hotel stay, um, flights or driving, gas, mileage on your vehicle, whatever. Absolutely. That's my answer. You are still going to be saving thousands of dollars by coming to CNY. We are still a third of the cost of the national average. So the minimal fees that you may pay in traveling don't equate to like what you may pay at a local clinic. We have no age limitations, no age, restrictions, no BMI restrictions, no hormonal restrictions. And so, we are super inclusive. We treat anyone from any walk of life, any race, religion, creed, color, you know, sexual orientation, whatever it is. So like if you want a baby, we want to help you to get that baby. So that's something that's really special about CNY. And just the affordability and accessibility of care in many different forms or fashions. Our like full scope reproductive immunology program, that we have lots of patients that have come to us because they've been to a local clinic, they didn't have success, and they're like, hey, like I feel like I need something more, something new, something fresh.
We offer things people don't.
Exactly.
Ovarian PRP, immune protocols.
Yeah, absolutely. So for lots of different reasons why people may choose to travel to us from outside of like one of their local clinics, we offer in-house financing with 100% approval. The only requirement is that you're our patient. So you make a down payment, and then you make monthly payments anywhere from 6 to 24 months. You choose the longevity of that. So we try to not only make it affordable, but we also try to, that affordability, like we go even further and offer that like 100% financing. We're not doing that through a third party. Like that's just between you and CNY. And we have tons of patients that come to us from other countries as well. So it's not even just within, the United States. Like we have patients that come from other continents to CNY to seek care with us. And so there's so many different reasons why. And we have a lot of different resources that can support you in being able to travel to us. And so if there's something that like you have questions about or some type of accommodations that you just want more resources on, please definitely, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're happy to help you with that and get you the information or the resources that you need.
Yeah, and I hope this episode made traveling to us a little less scary.
Yeah.
I hope it was helpful. And you learned something, and maybe this is a barrier that is no longer a barrier.
Yeah. And if you have traveled to us for treatment and, have a tip or trick or a hack that you learned along the way that you would love to share with other patients, or a funny travel story, or disaster. We would love to hear about it. We can share, with your permission, either your name or we can share anonymously. We would love for you to send those in to cnyfertility.com/fertilish. There's a jot form you can fill out, and you can choose how that information is shared.
All right. Well, we will see you guys next week.
See you next week.